welcome back to another episode of Lights, Camera and Learn. And today we're going to be looking at a icy beauty kind of image, one I shot a few years back, just after the pandemic. And it's a beauty image I really enjoy. It's one that kind of gets a few extra lives, especially because it comes back round again. People like it again, and it sort of goes popular again, and it's back and forth. So it's an image that I really enjoy. I still really absolutely love it, and it's something that was born out of just sheer creation, wanting to create after the pandemic. I was going absolutely mad, and I felt I had to start doing something. So it was just from one of these creative, crazy sessions. So let's get started. Let's have a look in. Firstly, the planning. I feel like planning is a section I should take out of these videos already because I never have any. I didn't plan this picture. I had no intent on doing this picture. It was one that was born on the day out of just creation. I'd planned other pictures on the day and they went really well, but this was something that I just kind of had an idea. I wanted to do something that was a little bit artificial and looked almost robotic, I think might be the best word. Something that was quite pure, quite clean. And so from a planning perspective, not very much really went into it. From a composition perspective, it was quite a traditional beauty composition. From my composition was my angle was a little bit lower, elongating the neck, creating a very beautiful beauty kind of pose. And I wanted the jawline to be a focus. I wanted the line of eyesight to kind of be a draw. And I wanted to make sure it was all about the jaw and the cheekbones and the shape of the head, the shape of the neck, the shape of the shoulder, more so than any expression or color and detail that could be in the image. I wanted it to be very much about shape, and composition being slightly lower than the eyeline is worked very well for that. It also gives a regal feel when you're that little bit lower, and I quite like that in beauty images. I think beauty is this elevated, sort of regal kind of feeling to beauty anyway. And I like those sort of angles. Plus, I'm personally very short, so it's useful for me to have to be underneath the model's eyeline because I usually am, which works well for me. So moving on to the lighting in this particular image, I knew I wanted it very glowy. I wanted it to feel like the image was very clean, but a very glowy kind of feel. And for that reason, there's quite a lot of lighting going on. I had a beauty dish coming in as my key light from the top, and I had a reflector underneath. Not to mention my model's quite light skinned, which means she actually works as a reflector herself. Her skin will actually reflect the light too. So we had a reflector coming in underneath to just bounce that light back up. I had two strip boxes coming in either side just to slightly add a kiss of light. You can see it just on the neck, and you can see it on the back of the shoulder quite clearly. I also had a hair light, which is ironic because there's no hair visible in this picture, but I had a hair light coming in from the top just to make sure that light continued round. And I had a background light. I was using a lightish grey bluey background. I put a background light on the bottom, just a pretty much a raw bulb with a background reflector, and aimed that up to create a gradient in my background. And basically I just wanted that to have a kind of very smooth, glowy kind of feel to it too. So the whole thing came together quite well, but I separated the lighting mentally into my background light, my key light, and then any lights I wanted to hit the model to add a glow, which ended up being 3. So if you think about it in that, it's not quite as complicated as it seems. You have your key light coming in from, well, essentially from her position, it's like butterfly lighting. It's coming directly at her, but it's off obviously to the side and she's facing towards it with a reflector. We have surrounding lights around her using 2 rim lights and a hair light. And we have 1 background light. So what is that overall? 5 lights, let's say. From that, I always say my lighting is really simple, and then I go, oh, it's got 8 lights in it. That's nothing. So maybe it's not as simple as I thought. But this is a typical beauty go-to setup for me, because I always really enjoy how 3D it makes the subject, especially adding in those shadows, as you can see on the cheek, you can see on the neck and the arm. It really creates quite a 3D effect on the image. Moving on to the pose, I kept the chin up to elongate the neck. It was all about elongating the neck for this image. And then all I got her to do was roll the shoulder forwards. Now, what's important is she did roll the shoulder. She didn't hunch. She didn't sort of bend her spine. The shoulder just kind of rolled forwards, which created a nice sort of shape and kept her looking quite strong. And it didn't create some kind of hunch or weird arch in the back. Now, the rest of the pose was very simple. We had the chin raised and the eye line going dead straight ahead. So we weren't really looking at anything over the top. I wanted to drop the shoulder at the back to make sure we couldn't see anything else. And apart from that, we just kept it very, very simple. From a face expression, I just wanted a very clean, very simple expression. Like I said, I wanted her almost robotic. And I feel like we got that kind of look, that robotic, not really processing or thinking anything kind of look. And I didn't have to worry with hairstyling, because I decided I wanted the hair up and out the way. And I actually, I used cling film. Ridiculous. But I used cling film around the head to give that sort of packaging kind of look. Again, back to the robotic kind of feel. I wanted it to feel like she was being unwrapped. It wasn't necessarily a concept, I wouldn't say, but it was kind of the borderline inspiration for the image. There really wasn't too much thought process went into it. It was just, this is pretty, let's do it. The cling film gave me loads of issues with lighting, of course, because it's very reflective. So I had to tone a little bit of that back, but also just be very careful where my lights were coming in around the side. So moving on to the edit, very little has been done. It was a basic skin edit, but the main thing that has contributed to this image is I have pulled down the saturation so that the skin is very pasty, very pale, almost has no real life to it. And I enhanced the eyes. Just now. The reflector underneath enhanced the eyes for me, and I've just pushed them to be a little bit more icy blue. They were that colour, but I've just sort of crisped them up a little bit. So that's the main things that have been done to that image. As usual with me, it's mostly lighting, it's mostly done in camera, and it's something that I do take pride in trying to make sure that my lighting is best and that I am a photographer first before I'm an editor. I've nothing against being an editor at all. It's just that's not what I do. I like to create lighting, and I believe if you can get it in camera, you should get it in camera, and then you can edit anything else afterwards. For example, skin color, can't done much more in camera for that. So that's having a look at this image, and I really hope these help, this little series. I really want this to be something where you go, that's interesting, or you can take something from it. So hopefully this has helped, and I look forward to going through the next one with you. Before you go, if you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Every little helps. This is all done for you. Let me know what you want to see. And if you'd like to see more images like this and more detail, like lighting diagrams, planning, other things that went into creating these sort of images, go to studiophotographyworkshops.co.uk, join the community. I'd love to see you there.